Hi everyone. So today I'm just going to show you a couple of different multiplication strategies, and these focus on the second grade standard for multiplication, and it just develops the conceptual understanding of multiplication. So in second grade, they mostly focus on equal groups and repeated addition. I am going to show you the other strategies because you just want more inside of your teacher toolbox. If you see that your students are struggling with one of these two, that you have other tools and strategies for teaching them multiplication. All right, so the first thing that we need to know is that starting in second grade is when they introduce multiplication. So a lot of times they refer to this problem up here that says 5 times 3. They will say 5 groups of 3. So you're going to hear me saying 5 groups of 3 a lot in this short video. Hopefully it's short. Alright, so the first one that I'm going to show you is equal groups. A lot of people also consider this like drawing a picture. So with equal groups, remember we have 5 groups of 3. So you're going to have 5 groups. So there are your 5 groups. And inside of each group you have 3. So I would recommend doing dots. This is pictorial, so what we want to do is make sure that when the students are drawing the equal groups and drawing the pictures, that they are not drawing detailed pictures. Our time is limited in math when we're teaching, so we don't want them to start drawing a whole bunch of detailed pictures like little flowers and things like that. Just simple pictures inside of each group. This is a good strategy to teach the students because it also helps them start visualizing division. So this would be my first go-to as I'm teaching multiplication to second grade. The next one we have is repeated addition. Again, 5 times 3 is the same thing of 5 groups of 3. So that means that 3 is our group, and we're going to have to add it 5 times. Right? Because that is 5 groups of 3. And if they need the extra visualization when you first start teaching it, you can draw circles around it and let them know that the circles represent groups. Okay, so that's 5 groups of 3. Now the next one is one that, this will be my next best one, but this one is not a major focus in second grade, but it's also just a good strategy to have and to teach the kids, which is an array. Okay, now the one thing about an array is that you have to make sure the rows and columns are neat and aligned. That's why it's not like one of the first go-tos for second grade, because students are still, getting their fine motor skills and things like that together, and this is important when it comes to alignment. So if we're doing 5 groups of 3, we're going to need 5 rows. 4, 5. So that's my 5 rows. And this is another reason why, because the students have to understand that these are rows. Right? So there's a lot of teaching and talking that goes into this. So you would need 5 rows, and then you would need 3 columns. So I'm just gonna, here's my 3rd column right here. So this array represents 5 groups of 3, and as they get older into 3rd grade, they will also hear 5 rows of 3, and etc. Now, I know you're probably wondering, why haven't I shown the other way? So there is another way where you can get the same answer, right? And you can use the commutative property of multiplication to get the answer, but that is not something that they're focused on in second grade. We have to remember the standards or TEKS that they're coming to us with from first grade is mostly just skip counting by 2s, 5s, and 10s. So we have to be very mindful of that when we're teaching the multiplication. Okay, So I'm just sticking with 5 groups of 3 or 5 times 3 as I'm showing you the video. Right? So right here you have 5 rows of 3, 5 groups of 3. They can count them, and when they count them, they will get 15. Like I said, this would not be my first go-to. This one would. And in 2nd grade, they really focus on these two, if you look at the TEKS and the standards for it. So the next one, of course, is skip counting. So we're doing 5 groups of 3. So when we skip count, we will start with the 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. We have 5 groups of 3. That is 5 groups of 3. And a lot of times with the students, if they have to skip count with their fingers, go ahead and let them. But you're just going to have to teach them as they're skip counting to write the number with their fingers, okay? Alright, so the next one I'm going to use is the Unifix cubes. I'm going to draw the picture, but for this one, this is for your kids if they or just really aren't understanding the concept. This is when you would bring out your concrete materials and have them use those to build the groups. You know, you would have it on a dry erase board. They won't be, of course, together like mine are, but they would count 5, and then, well, actually, they wouldn't count 5. They would count 3. They would need to make 5 groups. So on your dry erase board, you would draw 5 groups or 5 circles, and then the students would have to put 3 of these Unifix cubes inside of each group. Okay, that's how they would have to do that. Okay, they would put 3 of them inside of each group. So this is more the concrete for your babies that aren't good with the pictorial quite yet. But if you want them to draw the picture, you would just actually have them draw like 3 like little squares on top of each other. And this is actually kind of time consuming, but sometimes this is helpful for the students, right? And we want to do what's best for the students. So this would represent 5 times 3 or 5 groups of 3. Now, for your students that they can master all of these different strategies. They've been through the concrete with the Unifix cubes. They can draw the picture. They can show you equal groups, repeated addition, arrays. They're very fluent with their skip counting. You could also show them intersections or a bar model. Okay, this is more for like a 3rd, 4th grade student. But if you just have those students that you just want to, you know, give them some higher expectations or push them, or maybe this is too easy for them, they can use the intersections as well. So intersections is when you draw vertical and horizontal lines, and this is also a good visual too. So for 5 times 3 or 5 groups of 3, we would have to draw 5 horizontal lines. Okay, and then we would draw 3 vertical lines. Now, if you're wondering why I drew 5 horizontal lines, because this is similar to an array, right? For an array, we did 5 rows of 3. So right here, we would have 5 lines of 3. Okay, so it's kind of the same thing. So with that, after they draw their vertical and horizontal lines, they would put a dot right here at the intersections of each one where they connect, where the lines connect. And then all they would have to do is count those dots. And if you count all of these dots, you will see that you have 15. And they would get the answer. All right, so the next one would be the bar model, which is part of like the Singapore method. So with the bar model, we have 5 groups of 3. So that means that when you're drawing your boxes, you would draw 5 of these. My bar model is not the best, I do apologize. So I have 5 groups, and then I will have 3 in each group. Now I know a lot of teachers, they draw the numbers inside the box, and that is fine if you want to draw it inside the box. If you're more into the strip diagram, you can draw it like a strip diagram. And then they would have to find the answer for the bar model, which would be 15. So if you have any questions, please reach out to me. But these are some of the multiplication strategies that I encourage you to use as you're teaching your kids multiplication. Okay, we want to make sure that our kids are not just memorizing multiplication facts, but we want them to understand the conceptualization of math and multiplication. So these are some of the best strategies that you could possibly use. But remember, for 2nd grade, focus on these 2. All right? Thank you.